We're going to get started, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the speech-language pathology and audiology graduate programs that we offer here at Hofstra University. This is a picture of Hofstra Hall. Hofstra University is located in Hempstead, Long Island, New York. And we have two sides of campus. We have our north side, which is the residential life side of campus, and that part of the campus also has all our athletic facilities, as well as our brand new medical school, which is affiliated with the North Shore Long Island Jewish Healthcare System. On the south side of campus is the academic side of campus. And what you're looking at right here is the original Hofstra College. And I can say that the university has expanded greatly from when the college used to be this particular building. So at Hofstra, within the Department of Speech Language Hearing Science, we offer two graduate programs. We offer a Master's of Art in Speech Language Pathology, and we also are part of the Long Island Consortium Doctorate of Audiology program. So first I'm going to speak to you regarding the master's degree program that we offer here at Hofstra. And with our master's program, we actually offer two tracks. The first track is simply the Master's in Speech Language Pathology. That program prepares a student. For licensure in speech language pathology, whereas our option 2 includes the Advanced Certificate for Teacher of Students with Speech Language Disabilities, also known as the TSHH. And so for students trying to negotiate what option is appropriate, basically what I tell people interested in our program is that if you plan on residing in New York State post graduation from your master's and you plan on working in the state of New York, option 2 is the more appropriate option of the two programs. Currently in New York State, in order for a speech language pathologist to work with a child from the ages of 3 to 21 in any type of facility that receives state or federal funds, the speech language pathologist not only needs to have a license in the state of New York, but the speech language pathologist also must possess the TSSLD certification. So even if you are working in a private practice, if the funding comes from any state or federal funding source, in order for you to see children within that private practice environment, the clinician would still need to present her or himself with not only the license for speech language pathology, but the TSSLD. So again, if you are planning on residing in the state of New York post-graduation from your master's, even if you want to work with you think you want to work with adults, we encourage our students to take option 2. Option 1 prepares the students just for the licensure, and therefore if you wanted to come to graduate school in the state of New York, but then you thought you were going to complete your clinical fellowship year and move to a different state to begin your career, you wouldn't need the TSSLD certification. You would only need to have met the requirements for licensure in the state that you are going to. So our program that we set up is it's a 57 credit master's program, and the 57 credits includes the 5 additional credits that are required for the TSSLD. If you are somebody that decides that you don't want option 2, then what we do is when you meet with your advisor during the first couple weeks when you begin your graduate program, we develop a plan of study and we take out those additional 5 credits, and then your program for option 1 would be 52 graduate credits. At Hofstra, we also offer bilingual extension. This is something that currently, if a speech-language pathologist wants to work for the New York City Board of Education and would like to represent herself or himself as a bilingual therapist, this therapist would need to apply for the bilingual extension, which is actually an extension of the TSHH certification. So that student needs to have 3 pieces of paper in order to work in the field. You would have a license in speech-language pathology, the TSSLD or teaching certification, so that's option 2, and then that student would also prepare her or himself by applying for the bilingual extension. So for the option 1, you have the master's in speech-language pathology. It's a minimum of 52 graduate level credits. It's a 2-year full-time program. This does include winter sessions and summer sessions. The students enter the program in the fall, and they work as a cohort throughout the 2 years. In the first semester, the cohort is divided into 2 sub-cohorts, and that is basically for purposes of our clinic. Students start in the clinic immediately when they come to Hofstra. And so what we do is we take the first-year students and we take your cohort and we divide them into a diagnostic cohort and a therapy cohort. And so your first semester, if you're in the diagnostic cohort, when you're in clinic, you are strictly performing diagnostic evaluations. Some of those evaluations are conducted in our clinic, and some of those evaluations you actually go off-site, but you are accompanied by a supervisor or a clinical educator from our program who goes with the students to the off-site in order for you to complete diagnostic work at an off-site. But if you're in the diagnostic cohort, for your first semester here, that's your clinical practicum is solely diagnostic work. You also concurrently will take the diagnostic class in order to support what you're doing out in the field. If you're placed in the therapy cohort, you are given a client for treatment purposes. You might be given more than one client. You can also be assigned to some of the groups that we offer. We have various specialty clinics, and so students typically are assigned to specialty clinics as well as individual clients. The students also participate in an audiology practicum during that semester. The second semester of graduate school, the 2 cohorts switch. So if you were in diagnostic, first semester you become a treatment person, second semester, and vice versa. During the summer, the 2 cohorts are mixed together, and you will all work in the clinic together over the summer. Some will be getting diagnostic work, some will be getting therapy work, group work, and so it varies. In the second year, you now become one cohort, and first and second semester of your second year, you are all in the field participating in externships. And then what we do is we always give the students an option of a third externship that could be satisfied during the second summer that you're here. If you don't want to do the third externship, you would graduate in May, and if you choose to do the third externship, your graduation date would change from May to August. But as far as your in-house training, you are in our clinic for 1 year full-time. Something that's unique about Hofstra's program is that when you are assigned a client in the clinic, it's 1 client, 1 student, and 1 supervisor. Students are provided with 100% supervision at this time for the full year, which is a lot more than the ASHA requirement, and it's actually a lot more than what other universities in the area provide to the students. So there is a lot of training, supervised training that goes on during your first year, as well as your coursework. So 52 credits is option 1. If you take option 2 with TSSLD, it's 5 additional credits, so that becomes 57 credits. Those 5 credits are worked into the plan of study. There are 6 educational law seminars for no credit that are a requirement by New York State Department of Education. And so during your first semester, you sign up. 5 of those you take online. 1 of them is an in-person seminar. So you have to satisfy the 6 educational law seminars during your first semester. And then at some point during your studies within the 2 years, currently you have to take 2 teacher exams in order to qualify for initial certification for TSSLD, which is the EAS and the ALST teacher exams. If you are a bilingual person and choose to participate in the bilingual extension option, you have to complete the 52 grad credits, the 5 additional credits for TSSLD, and then there are 2 additional speech courses. You also have to pass the New York State Language Proficiency Test that's given by the New York State Department of Education. And the student teaching placement, you only have to do 1 student teaching placement. And so your student teaching placement that you complete for TSSLD, we just make sure that you are in a bilingual environment and it satisfies the requirement for both TSSLD as well as bilingual extension. When can you apply to our program? You can go online and the website is listed here on the slide for you to apply. Our deadline is January 15th. That deadline does include you uploading unofficial copies of all undergraduate coursework. You do that by uploading unofficial transcripts. It has to be all of your undergraduate coursework. You can upload a screenshot of the GREs, and you have to submit your personal statement and 3 letters of recommendation, which we are requesting to be from academics. And so the deadline is January 15th. And so not saying that if you submitted after the 15th that you wouldn't be considered. However, it does close on January 15th. And so the students who have completed packets that we've received by January 15th, those are the first applications that are reviewed. And on average, Hofstra University gets approximately 400 applications, and we're looking to take 10% of that group. It is only an online application, including the letters of recommendation. We do not take hard copies of recommendation letters, so everything has to be submitted online through the Apply Yourself website. And like I said, the application includes a personal statement, all your transcripts, and this is when we conduct a transcript review. You have to show evidence that you've taken a biological science course during your undergraduate studies, a physical science. We prefer physics or chemistry. However, an environmental science or astronomy currently does satisfy that requirement. We're looking for a social science. You must have taken an undergraduate level statistics course and the prerequisite coursework. Again, you can upload a screenshot of your GREs, and we require 3 academic letters of recommendation. As far as the prerequisite coursework, Hofstra University requires that you take a course in phonetics, anatomy and physiology of the speech and hearing mechanism. We require normal language development, speech science, an introduction to communication disorders course, and an audiology course, as well as the stats course. We recommend disorders in children, but it's not a requirement. So it's phonetics, A&P, speech science, normal language development, intro to communication disorders, and audiology. And for those of you who are interested in the Professional Doctorate of Audiology program, Hofstra University does participate in the Long Island Consortium Professional Doctorate program. It is Hofstra University, Adelphi University, and St. John's University. It is a 4-year full-time program. It is an 89 credit program, the application actually goes through Adelphi University, but if you go on to our website, and when you click on the link for the Professional Doctorate of Audiology, the website is linked through to Adelphi University, where you will find the online application. Through the application process, you pick a home school for your studies, and during the first year, your courses are all together. So whether your home school is St. John's, Adelphi, or Hofstra, you work as a cohort, and you take classes with the students from the other universities. But the practicums, you're split up. So your first year, if you're a Hofstra homeschool, you would have your practicum on the Hofstra campus. If you're an Adelphi homeschool, your practicum would be on Adelphi's campus, and the same for St. John's. During the second year, you start to rotate through the other universities for your practicums. So if you're a Hofstra homeschool, second year you're going to do some work at Adelphi, and you're also going to do some work at St. John's, and it goes for the same for the other schools. During your third year, the AUD students start to participate in externships, and during the fourth year, it's a full-time externship that you must apply for and be accepted, and you work full-time. And the fourth year is somewhat equivalent to what a speech pathologist would complete as far as the clinical fellowship year. I'm trying to think what else I can say about this. That's really it about the audiology program. So lots of questions coming in, so let's answer some of those questions. And we put here the contact information. So I have a question here. What if you are going to a school that doesn't offer those prereqs? Should I apply? Well, it's always the student's decision of whether to apply or not. However, for both the speech pathology and the audiology programs, the prerequisites must be satisfied prior to beginning the program. So sometimes, depending on what prerequisite courses you're missing, you may select to take a prereq course online or take it at another institution, but the prerequisite coursework must be satisfied prior to beginning the program. I have another question I'm going to read to you. My anatomy and physiology course was broken up between 3 courses. It was in speech science, voice and fluency, and neuropathologies of the speech and language mechanism. Is that also okay, or do I need specific anatomy and physiology course? During the application process, that is when we complete the transcript review to look at courses. It's very hard to make a determination based on the title of a course. And so at that point, if for some reason the multiple courses that were taken did not satisfy the requirement, the student would be notified in order for the student to have time to complete the prerequisite requirement before starting the program in the fall. How many credits of prereq work did you say were needed prior to applying? It's on the website. There's a link on the website. I don't have the exact number written in front of me. I'm sorry. On the link, if you go into graduate programs for non-speech majors, there's an entire list of prerequisites, and there's a paragraph that describes the prerequisites, and it will say in there how many prereq credits you have to have completed in order to apply, and then it will state that the prereqs have to be completed prior to starting the program. What if my fall semester grades are available after the January 15th deadline? Should I submit the application without the fall grades? You still submit an unofficial transcript, and it will say what classes are in progress and what classes you've registered for. Once students are admitted into the program, all students will be requested at that time to submit official transcripts, and you must at the end of your spring semester, submit an official transcript saying that you've satisfied all the requirements, that you've actually achieved your bachelor's degree. So even when you get an acceptance in the spring to our program, it is contingent upon the fact that you need to successfully complete all your courses for your undergraduate work. So the official transcripts are requested once we have accepted students. What is the GRE score requirement for the speech-language pathology program? We don't have a definitive GRE score requirement. I always tell students it's an extremely competitive program. We are looking for the top 10% who apply to us, and so therefore you want the best GRE score possible. Again, for speech-language pathology as well as audiology, we're looking at that verbal score to be strong. We're looking for a very strong writing score. And of course, the quantitative, it makes a difference. But you just want to do the best that you can on the GREs. Another question, where do the students do their internships and externship placements? And so the first year of graduate school is your internship placement. It's all in-house in the Salzman Center, which is on the campus of Hofstra University. It's actually a couple buildings away from where all the academic courses are given. And then the externships, the department currently has over 150 contracts for externship placements that range from early intervention centers to hospitals to nursing homes to schools, developmental disability centers, etc. And so the clinic educators, and specifically the clinic director, works individually with each student in selecting externship placements, and the clinic supervisors try very, very hard to provide externship placements that would be most appropriate for each student. What kinds of extracurricular activities are available? What a great question. We have a wide variety of extracurricular activities, even for graduate students, and we have a health and wellness center, and we have an entire activity center that is on the north side of our campus. For those of you who are from Long Island, the location of the new medical school that's part of the North Shore LIJ healthcare system is the Old Jets Training Center, and next to the Old Jets Training Center is where our athletic facilities are, and we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool in there, and every piece of cardio and strength training equipment that you could imagine, and classes and yoga classes and Pilates and everything that you could think of. And so I always strongly encourage students to take advantage of the athletic center in order to help, you know, keeping everyone even keel and maintaining that stress. Is there housing available for graduate students? Yes. We have a residential life department, and there is absolutely graduate housing for our students. And Hofstra actually is trying very, very hard. We call it the Hofstra community because we realize that there are many, many students that are international and that come from other states. And we want you to feel very comfortable here. We want you to have things to do. We want you to be safe. And so the Hofstra community really, it's really geared towards students living here on campus, whether those students are undergrad or grad students. Last question would be, what would you recommend a non-speech student to do for the prereqs? Would you need to take a gap year either at Hofstra or somewhere else to complete them and then apply? It depends on how many classes that you need to take. If you need to take 6 or 7 prerequisite courses, they typically can be completed within 1 year. 3 or 4 one semester, say 3 the next semester. And so that would be a gap year if you needed all the prereqs. If you only need 1 or 2, you can apply to the program and then complete the 1 or 2 in the spring or in the summer. I would make sure that in your personal statement, if you have outstanding courses, to just make sure you highlight that in your personal statement. If you have specific questions regarding the program or any of the prerequisite requirements, please feel free to use my email that's up here on the screen, hope.e.baylow@hofstra.edu. If you would like to come visit our campus, you can always contact me and we'd be more than happy to set you up for a campus visit. We will also be having another open house on Tuesday night, January 13th from 7 to 9 p.m. And so you can look for that information on our website. And if you're not available that night and you just want to come and take a tour of the campus, please feel free to get in touch with me and I'll be more than happy to put you in touch with the appropriate people for you to do that. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to our presentation. We very much appreciate it, and we look forward to reading your application.